Because you know I'm always forgetting it.
Sometimes you got to, sometimes you got to tell yourself that. Yeah.
Okay, I got it this time. Okay, so we wanted to have this chance to talk about what just happened with this young girl, Makhia Bryant. For me, and I'm gonna give my opinion, this is not a George Floyd moment, but I think it is a teachable moment because what happened to her shouldn't happen to anybody, but it did. But a lot of things caused this to happen. And it wasn't just the police showing up. It's a lot of things that happened before the police ever got there that we need to really address in our children and in our families. What I wanted to do today was to have us to get on here and talk about what we think we can do, what we think we should do, what we think should happen. So, and to listen to each other with an open mind, not necessarily agree with what I'm saying, but just to listen and to ask, why am I saying, like for one, it's not a George Floyd moment? Why am I saying it's a teachable moment? Because what can we learn from what's happened? So what I want to know is sometimes we do have to call the police. Sometimes we do need the police. Sometimes the police are going to be pulling us over. And what's the correct response when those things happen? And how do we make sure we get that across to our young people? Because me and Corn had a conversation and we were talking about nowadays these kids aren't listening. But that's because we're talking to our kids the way our parents talk to us. And we don't have the same mindset in our children and our grandchildren as we did back then. So we got to talk to them in a different way. But what is that different way and what do we say? Because when the police come and you pull away and you fight, you argue, you're belligerent, you're disrespectful. And when I say disrespectful, I mean everybody, every person, every homeless person gets respect. But when you're disrespectful, you get disrespected. So how do we put that on a level playing ground on our side where we have control? And then how do we go to the other side to the police? Because I think the police have to be retrained on how to act when they interact with people of color, with people in general. I think they need some re-education and some retraining. And I think there's fear on both sides that we need to deal with. But that's just my opinion. I just want to have a conversation about what we do. Sister Cleo?
Hmm. Yeah, I
Go
agree
ahead.
with huh?
Go ahead.
No, I agree with everything you were saying. Um, except we do know that how you respond to the police sometimes it doesn't even matter because they have shot and killed people who were not talking smart to them. Like the soldier, I cannot remember his name, but this just happened a month ago or maybe a month and a half.
Right.
He did everything, that he was supposed to do. Luckily, they didn't shoot him, but they have shot people
Mm-hmm.
who did what they were supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
George Floyd did what he was supposed to do.
I agree.
He did. He was claustrophobic, and so he did try to tell him. Tried to tell him, but anyway, that's the way. We do need to talk to our kids. So.
Okay, so and that's where the other part of that comes in, the police needing retraining, because the problem is whatever situation they respond to, they go with the same response. And the response is pull your gun and shoot or deadly
Yeah,
force. So how do
shoot
we
first.
how do we get them trained to do something different?
Hmm. Well, I think this defunding the police, if they do that right, I think it'll be a big help, because nobody's talking about taking all the money away from the police department. We're just saying that redistribute the money. And with that, I think that we need to. I read something with Black Lives Matter where they were saying you don't need a police coming with guns for every situation. And that's what I think that needs to be determined with the redistribution of funds to the police department. I think it needs to be broken down.
Hey, Sister Cleo,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't want to cut you off. I didn't mean to, I don't want to cut you off, but I have to say this before I forget.
Okay.
I'm hearing a lot of people saying we don't need police to show up with guns. How long is it going to be before they start saying we don't need the fire department to show up with water hose? The gun is a part of their uniform. I am by no means supporting the police on all the shootings that they're doing, but I am saying that we can't start picking and choosing what we think they should have. That's a part of their uniform. And I'll be damned if I show up anywhere knowing there's an incident going on and not fully prepared to protect myself and those that I care about or those that need protecting. So when we say they shouldn't show up with every incident with a gun, now we say they shouldn't show up with every incident with a gun in their hand, that's one thing. But to say they shouldn't show up without a gun, no, they should. That's a part of their uniform. That's a part of what they need to protect themselves and others.
I hear you. But in some cases, I mean, they don't need guns for every call. Some cases are social service calls.
That can escalate into much more. So they need to have their guns. I don't think they need to have their guns in their hand. I don't think they need to pull their gun on every incident. But the least little thing could escalate into the biggest thing because people go to yip yapping, and then the next thing you know, somebody say something somebody don't like, and then somebody want to put hands on somebody, and if you're a police in the middle of all of that, then you catching it from both sides, plus whatever other little things around. And I know I sound like an advocate for the police. I am not, believe me. Sometimes I think the things they do is absolutely off the chart. But if I was a policeman or someone I love or cared about was a policeman, I wouldn't want them going on to any incident and not being fully prepared.
Michelle.
Good point.
Yes.
You keep trying to say something.
Oh, I was reading in my news feed, I think it was last week at work. It says that the police officers are spending so much money on gun training and so many hours on gun training, but not on like how to be social and how to de-escalate a situation without using your gun. They need to be trained in that way just as much as they do in their shooting ability. Because not like my dad said, not everything calls for you to pull your gun out. Sometimes they just need a second person there or a person of authority to help de-escalate the situation. Not pull your gun and shoot first and ask questions later. So they need to get more training on that. I think on how to de-escalate a situation without shooting someone.
My coworker was telling me. Oh, I'm sorry. My coworker was telling me something similar the other day, that his brother is a self-defense trainer and that he had a couple police officers that he was trying to train. Basically, the training police officers get as far as hand-to-hand combat, how to fight, how to protect themselves is very little. They get a minimum amount of that kind of training. So what happens is if they get into a situation, they can't, you know how you'll see like a scuffle with police and you see like somebody tossing the police around, is because they have no experience with how to fight. If you think about it, and if you carefully look at the majority of the police officers, you realize that those are the people that got beat up in school. Those are the people that got bullied. And now their way of handling that bully is to pull a gun. So now they have the upper hand, but they don't have the mental capacity to handle that upper hand. So they don't know how to fight. They always got beat up. Now they're gonna fix those people that want to beat them up. And it's like that you get that mentality when they show up. Plus, if you remember that, if that's the person that got bullied and that's the person that got beat up, they come in there scared in the first place. Because still that little boy is still in there and they come in there scared.
Yeah, so they need all kinds of retraining and restructuring of everything.
They need to learn, self-defense.
I don't know.
They need to learn proper, we know this term, proper handling of people. That's what they need to learn.
Okay.
And you don't have that.
Definitely. the way that this is going, it's like, yeah, we all gonna be wiped out in no time.
And the
That's true.
reality of the situation is also this: no matter how much training an individual has, I could be trained to the T. If I'm dealing with individuals who just want to be rebellious or defiant or ain't trying to listen and ain't trying to hear, and all they want to do is shoot, stab, cut, fight, kick, argue, all the training in the world ain't gonna prevent you to know how to deal with a situation when you're in the middle of two volatile individuals. If you got two individuals just going at each other, all the training in the world is not going to de-escalate that if those two is determined to act like they ain't got no good sense. So
Which
we have
goes
to be
back to-
mindful. We have to be mindful of all of it, not just a part of it. I'm a firm believer the police need to be retrained, but in their retraining, we need to realize all the training in the world ain't going to prevent certain situations because certain situations is out of our control.
So the other part to that is, hey, Cook, the other part to that is, that's what I'm saying. On the other end, it's a twofold problem. If we look at what we saw the other day, we saw this young lady with a knife trying to stab somebody. We saw the police show up. Both of those people were out of control. So with the police, we're saying the police need retraining, they need re-education, they need social services, help, intervention and stuff. But on the other end, again, that was a whole family out of control. What do we need to be saying to our kids? What do we need to be teaching our kids and ourselves? Because you had grown folk out there acting crazy too. What is it that's going on?
Let me say this: I don't want to monopolize the conversation, but it just when stuff comes to my mind, I gotta say it. We keep saying the young lady. The police didn't know how old she was when they got there. They seen this big individual with a knife. I don't care. Some people go, well, it wasn't that big of a knife. Any knife can hurt you. A pen knife can kill. So all they seen was a big individual with a knife over their head coming down on someone. So they didn't get out the car and say, oh, that may be a 16-year-old, that may be a 13-year-old. No, they seen a big individual with a knife. So come on, guys, let's start saying the baby or the young girl. She was a big individual ready to do harm to somebody.
That's a
And
title
I'm a
of
firm
respect.
believer.
Wait,
And I say this to my wife and my kids and everybody all the time. I don't care if you're an old person or a little kid. You try to do harm to me, I'm doing harm to you. You could
so
be
when
a
I say
baby or
the
you
young
could be a
lady,
90-something-year-old man.
when I say the young lady, that's a term of respect, not a term of age, because it doesn't matter. And I agree with you on that. It's a term of respect.
And my thought is, why couldn't they just like shoot to injure, not kill?
So
Why
That's
couldn't
what
they
I
just,
always, that's my question too.
you know, and
Yeah.
you didn't have to shoot to kill, and you shot her 4 times in the back, or she was turning, but still, you didn't have to shoot to kill.
Can I tell you guys something?
No matter the age though, but you could have shot her just to get her down on the ground, and then y'all get her. I don't know, maybe, I don't know police procedure, but you don't always have to shoot to kill.
Let me share something with you guys. When I went in the Marine Corps in 1975, the best part of my training was hand-to-hand combat and shooting on the range. They don't teach you to injure they teach you to kill, because you can injure somebody and they can still have the power or the will to kill you or whoever they're trying to kill. So the police are not trained to injure no one. They're trained to kill. They're trained to empty them clips, because one bullet might not stop you, 2 bullets may not stop you. Now we can say,
Well, that's one of the changes I think they need to make. You don't always one of the latest shootings, they shot the guy, I think 4 times in the arm, and then they shot him in the back of his head. I would think that 4 times in the arm was enough. That was enough.
if he kept, and I don't know what situation you're talking about, Sister Cleo.
I do.
And please, everybody on here, don't take me as an advocate for the police. But we need to open our minds up, and we need to start seeing the reality of everything. Okay, they shot him 4 times in the arm, but was he still coming at him with something in his other hand? I
He
mean,
was eating in his car. He was eating in his car.
and everybody, ask yourself this one question, then I'm gonna shut up for a while. If your
No, we
son,
gotta hear you.
if your son, your daughter, your husband, your wife, anybody that you love with your whole heart was a policeman, and they went on a call, and somebody had a weapon, would you want them to be extra cautious, or would you want them to be mindful of their life is in danger? And that's a rhetorical question. Nobody has to answer that, but that's food for thought. If I'm going somewhere and I fear for my life, should I try to wound that person, or should I try to put that person down because they might do something to me? If I walk in my house, my granddaughter is the life of my life. If I walk in my house and I see somebody hurt my granddaughter, I'll be damned if I'm going to try to wound them. I'm trying to kill that fool. Period. Black, white, purple, it makes me no difference. And now I'm gonna shut up for a while so other people can talk.
Who else is on?
I see my sister on there, but she doing something. She
Hey,
walking
Cook
on.
Cook. Yeah, yeah, she
Yeah,
doing something. She didn't even speak.
She outside walking. I can see KJ. And
I can't see nobody but you, Shorty.
Switch your screen to the left or right.
Did Elba get on? I thought you said you saw her.
Oh, okay, I can see now.
Okay, yeah, Elva's still on there, but she doesn't have speaker. And I can't even ask to start audio. I can ask her to start her video, but I don't see any audio for her.
When Cookie was walking,
she's still on there, huh?
Cookie, when you was walking, it looked like you was in a Spike Lee movie. You know how Spike Lee had them people like they on the skateboard?
Yeah, and then Michelle, I don't see. Yeah, I don't see. I see Michelle's on her audio, not video. Yeah. But Michelle comes in better when she's just on audio. But Corn. So what you saying is, I agree with you, because if I come in and it's something happening to anybody, I'm not gonna say, oh, let me shoot them in the knee, so whatever, because they still got their hands. I'm not good enough of a shot to shoot the gun out their hand, so I can't shoot the gun out their hand. So you gotta do the kill shot. And again, like I said, these are people that are fearful of Black people. We had a conversation at work the other day, and in police training and most training, when you go to the gun range, you get a target. Your target is going to be Black. Even if it's just a circle target, it's the Black target. When they have people up there, they're Black silhouetted people. If they have animals up there, it's Black. So when you go to the range, you are taught to shoot at the Black. So when they come on these scenes and they see, huh?
I said I never thought about that. That's some like subconscious stuff they putting up there like that.
Right. And I'm sure they don't even realize it, but you're giving Black targets to shoot at. So you shoot at.
Oh, they realize it. They realize it. Believe me.
But yeah, it's like that's what's going on. And so again, we got to figure out what to do. Now, this one young man that Cleo was speaking about, he was 47 years old, and he's in the car, and they shot him 4 times in the arm. He drove off, and as he was driving off, they shot him in the back of the head. So my thing is, when we hear the report, what we hear is he drove off so that he could stop them from shooting him. But that's what we hear. And you have to be on a scene to know what happened. This man is dead. This man got shot in the back of the head. So again, a back of the head shot, to me, I'm having an issue with it being a threat, but I'm also having an issue with him driving off in his car, because we know a car is a deadly weapon. So now they still have a defense for shooting him in the back of the head. So that's what I'm saying. We got to start being smarter about what we do. Sister Cleo? Oh, I thought your hand was up, Sister Cleo.
That's very true, though.
But yeah, we gotta be smarter about that. This, well, I have an excuse. And the one young man that got out of his car, his tags were bad. The police went to handcuff him, and he yanked away. there's nothing that could happen from that situation. Nothing good, because he jumped in his car, and that's where the lady shot him by mistake. She was trying to tase him, and she ended up shooting him with her gun. Now, she had the presence of mind to say, like, she was tasing, so that was her intention, but her training is shoot to kill. So I don't know if it was an automatic response that she went for the gun instead of the taser, but that was a taseable situation, but it was also an avoidable situation. Because if he
Yeah,
hadn't
okay.
went on and got arrested for what he was doing, which was driving, and I'm sure he didn't even have to be arrested. But the thing is, we got to be smarter than that. And I think that we have so much anger / fear in us that we're not being smart. We're not thinking. You got to
And then
think. Go ahead.
sometimes it ain't so much that we ain't thinking and we ain't being smart about situations. I've got pulled over by police and I'm very courteous. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes. And they still come at you with attitude and disrespect, trying to push you to that level.
Mhm.
Now, because I know the game and I know how they
Smart.
do, and I know
Smart.
what I would do if I let it escalate and where it
Mhm.
might end up at, I
Mhm.
don't fall into that, to that trap. But a lot of our people fall into that trap.
But that's not being smart, and that's what I'm saying. We got to think.
Absolutely.
Why are you operating out of fear? Why is your ego so much that walk away? Let that fool think he got something off. He didn't. Just walk away. Come back tomorrow. But we're not doing that. And I said in the other podcast, we're not afraid to die. That's not an issue. But the point is, we don't have to die, especially not for a traffic stop or for a $20 bill or for illegal tag or dumb stuff. Black people are dying now for dumb
Or for
stuff.
just being black.
Or for just being, well, that we've been dying for that one. But I'm saying
Well,
now,
what about the soldier? What a month ago, the soldier that they stopped, who was in he was in uniform. He was a lieutenant, and they didn't kill him, but he did do everything they asked him to do,
Mhm.
and they still treated him badly. They didn't shoot him though.
And they pepper
And
sprayed him, right?
yes, and threw him on the ground face down like they did George Floyd.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Why was that? All they had to do was give him a ticket and let him go.
Because they don't
That's
have value on people of color life. If you
Yeah.
black, Hispanic, and sometimes, Asians pretty much stick to Asians. So, but any people of color, they don't have value on that life.
That's right. You can do the right thing, but if they don't value your life, it don't matter.
So
But I'd rather see.
my wife asked me last week, what do we say to our children? And the only answer I could really come up with is, I don't know. I really don't, because like I was explaining before, you'll have some kids, very few, that will listen and try to, listen to you. But these children nowadays, these young people nowadays, they've been seeing so much madness and craziness and going through so much, watching people kill each other and watching the police kill us. They insensitive to a lot of things that's going on, and conversation is one of their insensitive points.
That's true. I'm insensitive too. I really am.
Oh, me too. Me too.
I'm very insensitive. I mean, if a cop stops me and I'm an old lady, I'm going to try my best to be respectful and do what he asked me to do. But if he stops me, for instance, for running a stop sign, and he gets out of his car with his gun, to me, that's not necessary. Ain't necessary. Not necessary.
It's like they don't know when to and when not to, is what it is. They don't have the training or even the self-knowledge to know, like, this is not a situation where I need to pull my gun out. I'm just giving this person a ticket because, like you said, you ran a stop sign. Okay, why you got your gun on me? I just ran a stop sign. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to take this ticket, show you my information and stuff, and let's get moving. Why you got your gun out? So it's they need to be retaught how to know when to have it out and when not to have it out. within themselves too. You should just know. I would think, but I guess that's not. Everybody doesn't have common sense. So
That goes back to their training. They're trained to have a gun on their hand or have a gun out, because if you walk up on the car, you don't know what an individual have in their car, and you don't know what their intent is. So that's their training, because they train mostly out of fear. They are naturally scared of what any situation can turn real volatile at any point.
Mhm.
So they train like that because they train out of fear. And so Maddie got the right idea. We need to talk to our children. We need to talk to the young people. But my thing is, I have no idea what we can say that's going to stick as a group and let us come to a group decision on how to deal with this whole police situation and the killing of any and all of us, really, by each other and by the police.
You know, one of the conversations me and Sister Cleo had was looking at that video of the shooting and that incident. I remember back in the day, if you called the police, there was a big ruckus going on. Ooh, somebody scared me. Who was that on Cookie's phone? He scared me. Somebody, if you called the police, like at that incident, and the police came, people stopped. Because the police showed up, people stopped. That's gone nowadays. And that's why I keep saying, we can't control the police. We can try to go for that retraining and stuff, but in the meantime and in between time, there has to be some retraining with the police, and there has to be some retraining with us and how we deal with that. And what I'm saying is, you can take the high ground or you can take the low ground. If we take the low ground, guess what? Black people keep getting killed. If we take the high ground on this, and we might need to step back, we might need to say something different or do something different, then our kids live for another day. And that's what I'm saying. And not just our kids, because like I said, this last guy was 47, so that's not a kid. But, we live for another day. So my thing is, I don't want to go to supreme wisdom, but I am. But can we have the wisdom to be smarter than the police? Because I'm saying they're operating out of fear. I'm saying they have lack of education. I'm saying they have lack of training. I'm saying they have lack of empathy. I'm saying they have a lack of common sense. Can we be smarter than the police? That's what I'm saying. And I think we can. So they need to be retrained because they're deficient in a whole lot of places. But can we, as Black people, we keep talking about supreme wisdom and we're the chosen and all that other stuff. Can we show that? Because right now we're showing how we're basically the same as them. And that's why there's a confrontation, because you have like minds, fear, Black people scared of the police scared of Black people, boom, somebody dies. And guess who got the gun? So again, can we be smarter?
See, when you use words like supreme wisdom, that is a term for a limited amount of people who get the teachings of the Nation of Islam. You have to realize a lot of these people on the streets are being raised by other people on the streets. They're not being raised by mothers and fathers like me and you were when we grew up. They're being raised by the streets, by their friends, by their partners, by situations that's happening in the street nowadays. Very limited amount of people is growing up in a household with a mother and a father, and not only, even if they only got one parent, the discipline been taken away from the parents. So you can't even discipline your child. And when these children go to schools and the schools is telling them, if you do something to me, I can call the police, or you can't hit me, or I'll call the police.
Uh-oh, somebody recognized that one.
Oh, yeah.
I remember when my mother, I gave her that letter, she said that they come in here and take me away when I get out of you up again. But it wasn't nothing. Like, for me as a kid, I got disciplined when I did wrong. My kid, when she did wrong, she got disciplined. If it was bad or good, it was discipline. I shouldn't have did what I did, and I knew I shouldn't did it, but I did it, and the consequence from that was I got disciplined. There's a cause and a reaction. A cause that, I did this, I should have did it. My mama gonna tear me up. Okay, dang it, I don't want to, but I got to do it. I didn't do it again. I might do something else, but I didn't do that again. I
So,
learned from that mistake, from the pain, but
exactly.
I learned from that.
And so going back to supreme wisdom, what I'm saying is, like you said, Corn, your mother, my father, your grandmother, our grandparents and stuff, they didn't have the Nation of Islam teachings, but they had supreme wisdom. And
They
all
have,
of us, whatever, listen, all of us, no matter who, what color we are, we all have the God within us, that barometer that tells us right from wrong. So however your parents,
absolutely. That's what them people used to call what they used to call it, Sister
Mother
Cleo, mother wit or
Mother wit.
Mother wit.
mother wit. Yeah, yeah.
Not mother wit. You just know what's right and what's wrong. You're not crazy.
Mhm.
You're not crazy. We're not crazy. And these cops are not crazy either. They're not crazy. They are who they are. They are what they have been taught. They are who they live around.
And
I'm
and
telling
another
you.
another dimension we all not talking about or thinking about or even discussing is a lot of our children and the young people, they're not themselves. They got all these drugs and they got all these chemicals in these drugs, and they messed up in their head, so they don't hear, see, think, or smell, taste. They don't do nothing like we did when we grew up. These young people, and we can blame, well, they shouldn't be doing drugs, but I'm telling you, when the CIA and the government start putting these drugs in the community and allowing all kind of chemicals in these drugs, they knew what they was doing. They
They sure
created a
do.
monster, and now the monster is out of the bag, and that's how they see us as monsters, and that's why they come with their guns in their hand, because they don't see us as human. They don't see us with no value. All they see us as monsters, black monsters, what they created.
Yep. Right about that. So it in a way, we would hope that if our kids are stopped by the police, that they do everything they're supposed to do. But on the other hand, the police should do everything they're supposed to do. You don't, you don't shoot. To me, you don't shoot somebody that you can look and see and know that they don't have a weapon. Why do you need to shoot that person? You see the person doesn't have a weapon.
Because they don't know
You
how to talk to
see that.
people, and they don't know how to deal with people. That's the only thing they know. They doing what they know. In a fearful situation, we all go to our most basic instinct. Basic instinct. That's it. We go to our basic instinct. And for police, their basic instinct is to pull that gun and shoot to kill. That's very
Yeah.
basic.
Hey, do you guys remember the show The Cops used to come on?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I remember I was watching Cops one day, and the cop walked up to this guy's car with a gun in his hand. Two black guys walked towards the cop, and the cop went to backtrack and tripped over himself. They scared.
That's my point.
And let me say this to y'all. I don't know if I ever shared this with you, Shorty, but when we was at the Million Man March,
Mhm.
and we was driving on the highway, I was driving.
Mhm.
I had all the brothers from Compton 54. We was hardcore crazy back then.
And Leon.
The police tried to pull me over. I kept driving. I'm telling you, it's about 10 to 20 cars behind us. When we finally pulled over, we got out. She said, "Let's rush him." We started walking to, I'm telling you, them police all had guns in their hand, but they were so fearful of the five of us in that car. It was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying that to say this. They are really cowards. They are really scared.
Absolutely.
And if you bark at them, they're going to think you biting at them.
Mhm.
And that's why they come the way they come. When they come, they don't come 2 and 3 cars. They come like gangbangers.
Mm-hmm. And my grandmother used to say, I'm just commenting on what you said, Corin. She always said, "Don't make a scared person mad."
Right.
Don't make a scared person mad. They'll kill everybody they see.
Everything. You're right.
So you know
Yeah.
too, Cleo, Sister Cleo, Sister Cleo recounted the incident when she was pregnant, when your stepfather and your brother got into it, right? And your mother
Mm-hmm.
brought you over to the house. Can you say what you said on that? Because this is not a new thing. This calling the police and it be trouble, but just can you, Sister Cleo?
Yeah, yeah. My mother lived down the street from me, and I was like, probably 9 months pregnant, 8 or 9, big as the house. And she called. My brother had come home from school and got into it with my stepfather, and they were fighting. And my brother's a big guy, and my stepfather was a big guy. And so my mother called me, and so I get on a bicycle. Here I am about to deliver. I get on a bicycle and go down there, try my best to stop it. And then I could see my stepfather. I think he was like winding down and he wasn't breathing right. So I told my mother, I said, I'm going to call the police. And she said no. And she really meant it. No, please, please don't call the police. And I remember back now because I got angry with my mother for telling me that. But now I understand. You got to be careful when you call the police if something is going on in your house. And you tell them, well, somebody's got a gun, or somebody's not breathing right now. It sounds like somebody is dying. I'm telling you. So I didn't call them, and I got on my bike and I went back home because I was so angry that she didn't want me to call the police. But now I fully understand because her husband could have been dead or her son or both.
But
people have been scared of the police for generations.
Mm-hmm.
Generations. Scared of black police and white.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay,
Hey, let me get back on that 16-year-old girl that got shot.
Uh-huh.
And this is just a scenario I'm throwing out. If that was a group of white people, same situation, and the white girl had a knife, do you think the outcome would have been the same?
No.
No.
I didn't have to think that before when you said the first part. No, it would not happen.
And I agree, because you can see how white people be walking with their guns towards the police and they don't shoot them. But a black person, all they got to do is open their mouth and they feel threatened. So that goes back to the training and how they're trained and how they fear people of color.
Yeah, it does.
We had an incident. Me and Irina, my white friend, we were at the liquor store picking up something, and she was parked in the wrong place, and she got a ticket. She cussed this cop out. She cussed him out so bad, and I'm sitting in the car with my hands on my lap, just looking like, oh my God, I wish she would shut up. I wish she would shut up. And we pulled off, and she's still cussing. Had that been me doing the cussing to the cop, it'd have been like 15 cars, 2 choppers, and they might have called SWAT.
Yeah.
And I said,
that's right.
Don't do that ever again when I'm with you, because I'm black, you're not. You don't understand. You have white privilege in a sense. And he saw you're white. He's not going to do too much to you. Had that been me, Irina, we would have been in jail. We'd have been in jail.
Oh, you probably would have been dead.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I said, that's sad that we have to go through this. Like, dude, you could cuss him out. You was in the wrong, though, Irina. You know that, though. But even though you was in the wrong, you cussed him out, and like he was a pebble on the street. He was nothing in your eyes. Don't do that when you're with me again, because it could have escalated into something else. And that's why I sat in the
Mhm.
car with my hands on my lap, just sat there. I wasn't even looking around. I was just looking straight forward. I could hear everything fine. I did look back a couple times and her hands all up in the air and everything like that. For a black person, that's aggression. For her, a white person is, oh, she's just a little kid. But yeah, I said, that's
Mhm.
crazy how the world works like that. Let that have been me.
Hey, Sister Cleo,
My little silly, a little bit horrible.
Uh-huh.
don't you have a policeman in your family?
Yeah, my grandson.
Do
He
you and
might
him
be
ever
online
discuss?
now.
Do
Did
you and him
Marcus
ever
sign?
discuss how he deal with
No.
situations on the street?
Yeah, yeah. And he was our last podcast. He was on there.
What
You
was
know.
his opinion
Well, the thing.
about how police deal with people?
Well, I have to say that he stands by his training, and that's why I know that. Well, you just said it, Corn. That it starts with the training.
Mhm.
Oh
Because he
yeah.
stands by his training. I'm telling you. And I think there's a problem with the training. I really, really do.
Let me say
And
this,
maybe
Sister Cleo.
the,
They say every Marine is a marksman. You cannot graduate Marine Corps boot camp unless you at least score a marksman on a rifle range. You know
What
where
does
they
that
train
mean?
you to shoot at? The
What does
head,
that
the head, and the heart. Kill shot.
yeah,
Kill shot.
yeah.
And that's what I'm
My
saying. It's all
husband,
about the training. They train you to kill. In the
right?
military and in the police force, they train you to kill because
Yeah,
so many incidents in war situations and in the street volatile situations where if a person is wounded, they still end up doing some damage to the police or to other people. So they don't
Mhm.
train you to wound. So we have to be mindful of that. We know it's wrong. We know too many people is dying, but that's how they train them.
You know what?
Yeah.
I watched a video the other day, and it was just the opposite of what you're saying. It was in Mexico. It was one of those I forgot, one of those drug lords. So the police officer sees him. Now he'd already killed this drug lord. He had already killed a police officer. Another police officer spots him. The police officer takes off behind him. As the police officer goes to get out of his car, the guy steps out of his car too, and he shoots the police officer. Bam! One time. He jumps back in his car, and as he jumps back in his car, the police officer gets up off the ground, shoots him, runs behind the car, and kills him. Now, in reverse, that's just a police officer getting killed. But in this case, the drug lord didn't shoot to kill. He's not trained like that. He didn't shoot to kill. So that's what can happen if you don't shoot to kill. Now, the other person is dead because of that. So again, what I'm saying is that's the reverse of what we're saying. That's why the police officers shoot to kill, because if you don't, that person can come back and in this case, kill you.
Yeah, my husband was a Marine, and that was he really thought like the police thought.
Mhm.
He really did. So,
Well,
but
I'm a
that
Marine,
needs
and I
to
don't
be
think like the
changed.
police think by no means. But I do relate to some of the training that they go through. I do relate that if you feel someone is a danger to you or someone else, don't play with them. Take their ass out.
Yeah, yeah, that's the case. Because I always say, if somebody breaks into my place, I'm not going to hesitate.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to hesitate, So,
Okay, so I got a quick question for the four of us that are still on, because Elva got off. She got home and then she connected from home, Sister Cleo. So, but she still didn't have audio. So that's what I sent her a message asking her if she had audio. So I didn't get anything from her. But here's my question to you. Okay, assuming we all watched the video, the young lady in the pink that was about to be stabbed. If you're that young lady in the pink, what are you going to say to the police officer that shot Makhia?
Thank you.
Leo?
I'm thinking, I'm
Michelle,
thinking.
I'm gonna come back to
I
you.
just
Steve.
wow, really, I would have no words right at the point. It's kind of I'm in a gasp for a minute. Is she dead? She is. Oh my gosh. I don't want to say better her than me, but I don't know.
But that's what it boiled down to. He saved your life.
Yeah, he did.
Or if not your life, being wounded real bad or whatever, but he stopped you from being harmed. Let's put it like that.
Ready, Cleo?
Yeah, I think I probably, even though the way the situation was going, I am pretty sure that I would ask him, why did you have to kill her? I'm pretty sure I would do that because he didn't have to kill her. He didn't have to kill her.
So as the girl that was about to be stabbed with that knife, that's what you would say?
Yeah. The girl doing the stabbing. The girl with the paring knife.
No, the
I
girl
know
in the pink that was about to be stabbed.
in the pink.
Yes, in the pink.
That's that girl. Yeah.
Yeah. The one that was up
I'm
against
just saying. Right. I really, I know she wanted to stab me. But I know I would ask that cop, why did you have to kill her? I know I would. Because he didn't have to kill her. He didn't have to kill her.
What
He
was
could have
his
shot her
option?
in the, shoot her somewhere else. You could shoot her in the leg. You could shoot her in the hand.
But
You know, he didn't
let
have to kill that girl.
me say something to you, Sister Cleo.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people shooting something like an arm or a leg, which is a much smaller target, it is if they shot at their arm or their leg and they missed, and then people will be saying, well, why they didn't shoot the, you know what I'm saying? And if he didn't shoot to kill and she stabbed the lady and killed the lady, then everybody be like, well, why he let her kill the lady? Why they didn't shoot her? Why they didn't stop her? So we in a catch-22 situation. I don't think the girl should have died. I don't like the fact that she died. But we have to realize the 16-year-old girl put herself in that position. That police didn't put her in that position, and the lady in the pink didn't put her in that position. She chose to have a knife. She chose to draw back that knife to do harm to someone. She put herself in a position to be harmed or killed at that point. And I'm not taking up for the police. I'm just saying we have to be realistic about the whole situation. I think we've seen so many of our people getting killed, senselessly getting killed, that we just automatically think anytime somebody get killed, it's not their fault. Well, in this case, in my opinion, that 16-year-old girl was at fault because she chose to push the lady, go at the other lady with a knife in her hand, ready to draw down, whether it was a paring knife, an ink pen, a stick pen, a butcher knife, it does not matter. Whatever she had in her hand, it would have did harm if she connected with that other individual. Probably hit something vital and the other person could have bled out. So we got to start being mindful of the whole situation, not just the fact that the cop killed the young baby or the young lady, as everybody likes to say, but the fact that what would that young lady had done if he hadn't did what he did.
Okay, so now my other real quick thing is, Sister Cleo, I want to say one thing. So if he had a shot to wound, shot her at her hand, shot at her leg, shot at her anything, and that bullet went through and hit somebody on the other side.
Absolutely.
Where would he be? Now, I know Sister Cleo has something else to say. Go ahead, Sister Cleo.
I forgot. I have to say. That's
I
okay.
love
No,
your laughter,
but
Sister Cleo.
I do understand. I understand that, we're like in a catch-22 situation.
Me too.
But I do think if the police, if they had all of this training in how to shoot, that and this was a heavy girl. She wasn't somebody that was petite.
I bet he went for Center Mass.
I think he could have looked at her and said, I can shoot her in the leg.
So, Sister
I
Cleo,
can shoot her in the leg. I don't have to kill her.
That's why
I don't have to kill her.
In the YouTube video I did, that's why I played that little clip of him jumping out the car saying, get down, get down, get down, and shooting, because that whole clip was less than 6 seconds. And that's what I wanted to show. This is not like it was something that took place over a long time. This man pulled up, he sees what's happening, and it happens in 6 seconds. So I wanted to try to bring that point home. Again, that's why I kept playing that clip, because it was almost instantaneous. When he arrived on scene, she's going at this girl. So, and that's not any excuse or anything. It's just, there's time constraints going on with this. Him showing up and somebody dying. Somebody was dying that day, or somebody was going to be critically injured that day.
And that's all I'm saying. And that's all I'm saying. We have to be reasonable. I mean, we can't make excuses for the police, but we have to be reasonable on all levels. And we have to realize that, like I said, everybody keeps saying he didn't have to kill her. And maybe that was his intent. Maybe it wasn't his intent. Only God knows that. But I do know this, the situation could have been avoided if that 16-year-old girl had self-control and didn't have the anger and fury in her that she had, going at them, pushing the one individual, then going at the other one with a weapon in her hand.
Okay, so listen, that's what I wanted this whole podcast to be about, what you just said right there. All that anger and all that fury and all that rage is what brought the police there. What do we as parents, what do we as sisters, brothers, aunts, uncles, or whatever, of people, what do we say so that we don't get to that point where we have to call the police? Because that's the problem right there, that we had to call the police. That young lady, that whole situation, whatever happened, because it might not even been her fault. I'm just saying that it got to that point. But whatever, it got to that point, how do we make sure it doesn't? Because that means there's a whole bunch of disrespect going on. There was something about a grandmother missed. She was going at 2 different ladies. There was a grown man out there in the gray hoodie and sweats who once that she knocked that one girl down, because she almost rolled her over, knocked that one girl down, that he kicked at her. There was a whole bunch of stuff going on. How do we stop this?
Hey, wait a minute. First, how did it start? I don't even know how it started.
That's my point. How do we stop it from starting? That's what I want to know.
But do anybody know how that situation started?
They never say. But what I'm saying is, at 16, that she thinks that she could even take a knife, or that she should take a knife to somebody. There's a problem that happens way before. And so what I'm saying is, there's a lot of, because remember we talked about the crackhead babies. The 80s and 90s brought and 2000s brought a lot of crackhead births, a lot of drug births, and a lot of stuff like that. How do we address that? We got a lot of sick kids out here. We got a lot of kids that was born into nonsense because their parents was on crack and meth and this new weed we got out here, because we don't even know what they're putting in the weed now. All we know is they're trying to make the weed better and better because it's legal and they want you to buy theirs. So they're making it more and more whatever it is people like. You get higher, you get crazy or whatever. So my question is, what do we need to do? What do we need to say? It's all going to keep going back to the original question. What do we need to do? What do we need to say?
Well, I think the only thing we can do is, pretty much what we've been talking about. We have to talk to our kids, but
what do we say?
We can't protect. Well, one thing I think we can say is walk away. You know, don't worry about people saying you are a coward or whatever. But if you're in a situation that's escalating over nothing, walk away and live. That's first of all, what I would say. Don't stand up there and argue with somebody who really wants you to just do anything so they can hurt you. Don't do it. Walk away.
So what did we say to the young man that was in the car that was almost tased and lived? What did we say to him in that situation?
Well,
I'm not saying we all have answers. It's just a question.
Well, I just think bottom line is if you can keep from having to have anything to do with the police, then try to do that. Whatever it is that keeps you away from the police. Because one thing that frightens me about the police now is I know they have recruited, I'm telling you, hundreds of, I just have to say it, rednecks. Hundreds. And when I tell you they are happy to shoot down a Black person, period.
That's the best job to
They
have.
have recruited them by the hundreds.
That's the best job in the world.
Telling you.
Because you
Sister
can
Cleo,
legally do it.
Sister Cleo,
Yep. Uh-huh.
you wrong in your numbers, baby. It ain't the hundreds, it's the thousands. Because
Yeah.
it's nationwide. It's nationwide. So it's,
Yeah.
they recruiting them by the thousands. But trust and
They
believe.
sure are. They really are. I'm telling you.
And I would say this, when Maddie keeps saying, what do we say? What do we say? What do we say? I don't know what to say. I do know this. I know when I listen and I've been involved with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and his dealing with gang members and young people, they all, yes, sir, right on, yes, sir. And then they go right back and do the same thing over and over again. And I know he's telling them truth. I know he's telling them right from wrong. They know he's telling truth. They know he's telling right from wrong. And then they go back and do the same thing. Is it drug related? Is it peer pressure? Is it I'm a man and I'm gonna do what I want to do, and I'm a woman and I'm gonna do what I want to? Is it a combination of all of that and more? But
I think it's hope related.
What'd you say, Sister Cleo?
I think it's hope related. Just no hope. No hope. No jobs. No hope. No money. Father out of the house. We've had fathers out of our houses for generations. Generations. And I don't care what anybody say, you need your father.
But if you want to
in the house with you, in the house. And we can't seem to undo that. That's one of the reasons. You need a father in your house.
So one of the things that goes to is they keep saying how many more jobs we have. Oh yeah, we got jobs, unemployment, but the jobs are, so what they do is they put a Sonnet or they put another Burger King or they put another Rallies in the neighborhood, and you can get a job at minimum wage, but you can't make enough money. So first of all, it's not enough to survive. Second of all, now if you need public assistance, you can't get that public assistance if your baby daddy is in the house. So
Sister Maddie, Sister Cleo, how many people did y'all invite to this?
I invited 14.
How many you invite, Sister Maddie?
7.
And there lies the problem. Y'all invited 21 people and we didn't even get 5 people online. The people are not getting involved. They don't show interest until something happens, and then they want to boo-hoo, march, and complain and all that shit. They don't want to get together and discuss it. So when Sister Maddie say, what did you say? what can you say to a people who don't even want to listen, don't even want to discuss it? All they want to do is show their face when something happened and march and do crazy shit. If y'all invited 21 people and it's just really the 3 of us or the 4 of us were kids, you know, Cookie was there, but she wasn't saying nothing. I mean, out of 21 people, and we can't even count ourselves because we ain't the ones that was invited. Y'all 2 can't count yourselves. Sister Cleo invited 14, you invited 7, that's 21. It's me and Kid, and then Cookie, and then the lady that was on and then wasn't on, but she didn't even
Well, it
talk.
should be 23 people on here.
Exactly, but what we got, 3 now, 4?
No, 24 people, because you wasn't included in that 7.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that goes back to answering Sister Mary's question. What can you say? What can you say to a people who's not even interested in finding out or listening?
Yeah.
And then I heard y'all, and Sister Claire, I heard y'all had three thumbs down on
no. So the 3 thumbs down, whoever put them on there took them off. I think now that I see that, I think that they took them off. I think the 3 thumbs down, meaning they didn't like the killing, because whoever, they're not there anymore.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? They didn't like not the video.
But that's not saying. The question shouldn't be what should we be saying, because the words are there. The question is how can we get our people activated enough to even get involved with hearing whatever you got to say, or to get involved with a discussion, because just the 3 of us, everything I said ain't 100%. Huh? Okay, 4 or 5. But
I'm saying there's 4 people on here.
Okay. The 4 of us on here. Everything I said is not 100%. Everything you said may not be. Everything Sister Cleo said may not be. But we are engaging. That's the key. You have to engage.
And that's what keeps a lot of people from. See, that's one of the things, Corn. A lot of people are scared to get on because they know employers listen to all of this stuff. See, a lot of people are scared because employers listen to this stuff and they check. They see which one of their people is involved with whatever. See, you can't be scared. Absolutely. You can't be scared. You cannot. Can't do it. So if it's a scared person, then fine. Don't hook up with me anyway, because I'm not scared and I ain't biting my tongue. So
you go ahead, soldier girl.
Yes, ma'am.
Michelle, go ahead.
No, I just say yes, ma'am. I was just agreeing with Sister Cleo. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
Don't bite your tongue. Don't be scared.
Here's the thing. My asking, what do we say, is a question that begets a question. And so, Corn, you just changed the question. The question is not, what do we say to our kids? Is how do we get people engaged so they even listen, so that we can have that conversation? Because we're not even to the point of answering my question. So that's why I keep asking the question for, but that's what I need.
And there's another, and then there's something else we have to realize. A lot of people are not going to engage if they don't agree with what you're saying, because a lot of people are already saying no matter what the police did, they was wrong, because that's all we used to seeing. Them killing our people, getting away with it. Killing our people, getting away with it. Beating the shit out of our people, getting away with it. Everything they do, they get away with in the courts, and the prosecutor got their back, the judges got their backs. Everybody got their backs when they do wrong to us. And so a lot of people, if you say something contrary to what they think, they don't want to hear it. But like I said, I'm not never going to be an advocate for the police, because I know they some dog bastards. But I do realize that if I was the police, I'd come at them the same way, gun in hand.
But
we have a lot to do.
Go ahead.
What'd you say, Sister Claire?
I said we have a lot to do. I'm telling you, we have a lot to do, and concerning the minds of our people.
Well,
A lot to do.
I hope the two of y'all don't stop doing what y'all doing and get discouraged because I think eventually people will engage, especially if they see y'all keep doing it. So I hope y'all keep doing what y'all doing. I said I wasn't going to get on no more of these Zooms because I hate to be told I talk too much and I hate to be told I talk too loud. And I do both of them. I do talk too much and I do talk too loud. But you know,
I don't think so. I think you said what you got to say. I'm telling you.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate it myself.
So why would you hate that? Hush.
What'd you say, Antoinette?
I said, why would you say that? Hush your mouth.
No, I mean, I'm just saying.
You say a lot
because
of stuff.
I said that.
Loud, you do, but okay, I'm
So,
right there.
so, so listen, listen. This
stuff
is
that you say. So it's.
Go ahead, Michelle.
No, I'm done. I'm listening to you.
Okay, so I said this, and I said this when we were on the call about Georgia, about the Georgia election. But what I was saying was that, you know, my people were on there, and so my people are a little timid. So you got to remember to speak to your audience. And so Corn was engaging the people that, you know, that my people, because in the beginning they were just kind of like sitting back, not saying anything. I was saying that you got them engaged, but then you got to know how to mic down because you got them engaged. So that's what I needed you, wanted you for, and appreciated that you got them started in the conversation. But if you know, if you jump, you know, and say stuff like that, then I'm watching their faces. And so I was basing that mostly on their faces, plus the fact that you talk too loud anyway. But it wasn't, and so you took it as a bad thing. It wasn't. It's just, you know, talk a little bit lower because you're going to keep a conversation going. And in something like this, we need somebody to keep the conversation
going. Absolutely. I'm telling you.
But you got to watch, and you got to be able to switch that screen and watch the people, because you got to know if you're turning the people off or if you're pulling the people in or if you're making them want to talk. It's all a process.
Sister Cleo, can you see me?
I can't see anybody.
Oh, I was going to say, your brother got so much gray hair, it's pathetic.
Me too. But you too young. You too young, Corn, to have a lot of gray hair now. What's wrong?
I'll be 64 this year, sister.
Just a baby.
Ooh, I love you.
Wait. Did you say 54? 54.
I love you, Sister Cleo. Thank you. Sister Cleo say you're such a baby.
Yeah, you back here with who? My daughter, one of my daughters. Well, you just a little bit older than Janine. That's my baby.
Oh, wait. But yeah, Sister Cleo, don't you and Sister Maddie shouldn't stop what y'all doing. Keep doing it, even if it's just 2 or 3 of us on the thing. Because eventually it's going to pick up.
Well, Maddie said we got 40-something hits. Maddie said we got 40-something hits, so that means somebody must have thought something. I don't know.
Absolutely.
They tuned in.
So one of them, Sister Cleo, I got 62 views. We got.
Oh.
So we got
and I think a lot of people, because it's a 16-year-old girl and they got their mind made up that the whole situation shouldn't happen, they don't want to engage because they probably see that the girl was wrong, but at the same time, the cop was wrong for killing her. So at the same time, it's kind of hard to step outside the box. I don't mind stepping outside the box. I know how I feel. I know how I feel about cops. I know how I feel about situations that they get involved in. But at the same time, I can step outside the box and say, okay, that girl was more wrong in my mind than that cop was. That 16-year-old was more wrong than the cop was for me.
Let me say this. I keep saying that baby because bottom line, 16 years old is a baby. I'm not talking about her actions. I'm saying young lady because that's a young lady and she deserves respect. Forget about what she did as a person, as a human being. That's a 16-year-old child. So that's not saying, oh, I'm saying she a baby, she shouldn't have died. No, 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 that's not. That's in lieu of calling her name. Yeah, that's all I'm saying is, as a person, a human being on this earth, she deserves respect. I say, as a person with a knife, regardless of her age, whether she's 2 or 82, she should not have had that knife in her hand. So that's another thing that I'm saying, and I need to be clear on that. So I'm saying,
And and people need to realize, anybody coming on that situation, they don't know that's a 16-year-old kid. All they know is that's a big individual with a weapon in their hand.
mhm. And I want to know that guy who was kicking the girl that had on the gray sweats, how come he wasn't doing something to stop her? It seemed like to me he was with her. They were
Taking her
in,
on
in cahoots on that
together.
situation, because the one she knocked down is the one he's kicking. So now she's on the other one. See, that's what I'm seeing as an adult that should have been taking some kind of responsibility. And those other people, please don't make that face. And the other
Hey,
the
Blue,
other adults, where's the other adults? What's going on? So again, we gotta get engaged so we can be real. Sometimes we just wrong and the police are right. And this is a time when she shouldn't have had that knife. The grown-up should have been doing something better. It sounds like it should have been some parenting issues that didn't get handled. She's in the system. There's another problem. And like I'm saying, as people, we gotta take responsibility. And we're not taking responsibility. It's not all on the police what happened.
and that's why I'm asking and what's initiated their whole thing,
Mhm.
because
I never
you know,
did hear what started it.
huh?
I never did
They
hear, you
probably don't
know.
know.
Yeah, and that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. The 16-year-old could have been in her rights to want to kill an individual with a knife. That's what I'm saying. You don't know, but but
Mhm.
in hindsight, you know, it's like the police officer, all he had to go on was what he seen when he got out of the car. Everybody else there, they all have their own little set story. And I bet if you ask each one of them, you have 6, 7 different stories, because everybody got their own idea probably what happened. I would like to know what got everything kicked off the way it did.
Mhm.
I don't think they ever said, you know, what really got all the stuff started, you know.
Well, we know it
I
ain't
never
today.
heard any version of it.
We know it
I
ain't
didn't
today after Thanksgiving, so it wasn't a fight at Target, so we know that. Or
Mhm.
Walmart.
But what's so sad is that since the day of that Chauvin verdict, since that day, there have been, I know of, 4 police shootings, killing people.
Mhm.
Since that day. Since that day.
Mhm.
Because they
And
don't
they
have
were
value on our
all,
life, Sister Cleo.
yeah, they were all black except one was a Hispanic.
I don't know. I was telling Sister Betty, Cleo, I don't know if you've seen it, but I was watching a video where they handcuffed this lady and they went to pick her up,
Oh,
and she kicked the one cop in his groin, and he started punching her, and the other 2 cops pushed his ass off of her and stopped him. So they didn't want to get caught up in one of them situations where, you know, like them the other 3 got caught up with Chauvin. They wasn't trying to get caught up because they pushed the cop off of her from beating her.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. And even with Chauvin, one cop was saying we need to turn him on his side.
yep. He said
And
it
Chauvin
twice.
wasn't and Chauvin wasn't going to hear that. He meant that. He wasn't going to hear that.
Mhm.
Mike probably would have saved George's life.
Programming class together so we can brainstorm.
Oh, okay.
Mhm. So she's
I
sending
thought she
me.
was asleep.
No, she's sending me. She been sending me links so we can connect and stuff. But yeah. So folks, I think Sister Cleo, I think we can wrap up, and I think
Okay.
our next talk, we need to find out how do we get people to talk and engage? That's the
Uh,
thing.
uh, are
Go
you
ahead.
guys gonna revisit this subject?
Yes.
Okay, then this is what we're gonna do, all four of us on this conversation right now. We
Mhm.
all gonna have some homework to do. Each one of us gonna come up with 2 things that we think we need to do to better that situation, as far as what we say to somebody, how do we talk to somebody, how do we get people engaged. The next time we get on this call, why don't the four of us have, each one of us have 2 things that we come up with that we think that we can do better to get people engaged, to get people to listen, to get people involved. Is everybody in agreement that we can do that?
Mm-hmm. I'm writing it down now so I don't forget.
I am too.